Welcome, AiN family. I'm Diana Rotundo. Thank you for taking the time to join us in our fourth virtual webinar. We developed this series for you, the AiN Dealer, and we are driven to add ideas, values, and purpose to your business, your employees, and your customers. Here's a quick introduction for today's presenter. He is a frequent flying keynote speaker, author, and brand strategist. His original market-tested ideas have inspired some companies to grow 15 to 20 times while creating an irresistible category of one. He has inspired some of the world's best, including Apple Specialist Marketing Group, Caterpillar, and others. He has also shared speaking stages with icons such as Richard Branson and Gene Simmons, and named Speaker of the Year by Tech Canada, the country's largest CEO organization. Author of Nuts, Bolts, and a Few Loose Screws, he is an accredited Tennessee Squire, associate faculty at world famous Wizard Academy of Austin, Texas, and his next book is entitled Big Little Legends: How Everyday Leaders Build Irresistible Brands. And we will experience a preview of that book today. Please welcome Gair Maxwell.
What if your brand is the most undervalued asset on your balance sheet? Dateline, October 5th, 2018. Scene of the crime, Calgary, Alberta, Canada's Stampede City. And that's where I ran into a guy named Tim. Let me tell you a little bit about Tim. Yeah, he's the owner of a company responsible for more than 100 people. And after a public presentation, Tim approached me to share some observations and frustrations. And to put this into context, he's got about 120 or so competitors in his category, all selling very similar products at very similar price points. And from the outside looking in, there really isn't that much that's you would notice in terms of a substantial difference between Tim's products and everybody else in the category. He kind of blends in with the rest of the pack. You might say that Tim is swimming in the sea of sameness. But from Tim's perspective, no, he doesn't see it that way at all, because in his view, his business is not the same as everybody else's. They really do have something special, something different that sets them apart. And herein lies the greatest source of the aggravation. And many of you just might be able to relate to this. No matter how hard Tim and his team have tried, no matter how many slick, well-packaged marketing campaigns they've run with, or spaghetti on the wall ad dollars they've thrown at this problem, they still get lumped in with the rest of the copycats in their competitive space. Yes, painted with the same perceptual brush. And what Tim was missing was so obvious, but not to him. And the more we talked, the more he recognized three universal truths. Universal truth number one: customers actually don't care at all about marketing. They only care about what interests them. Number two, you can't read the label when you're inside the bottle. Can't be done. And number three, only when you start asking and looking for different questions do you arrive at new answers. And so on that note, welcome to Big Little Legends. And we're going to learn a lot more about Tim and some others and how they have found some new answers and how they might apply to what you're experiencing in your category. Big Little Legends, the purpose of this program and the forthcoming book is to help you discover some of those answers and challenge conventional wisdom when it comes to how long-term brand building really works these days, especially as it relates to the role of leadership and creating modern day legacy. And again, I'll come back to it. What if your brand is actually the most misunderstood and unleveraged asset that might be on your balance sheet? So I really want to thank the folks, Melanie, who can't be with us today, Diana, who did a wonderful job with the introduction, reading that bio exactly as I wrote it, and all the people associated with AIN. I've had a chance to go visit some of the member websites. I do this because I'm always interested in, I mean, I know what's in my head, but I need to respect in yours. So I like to drop by the digital front porch of first impressions, not so much to study websites. I'm always curious about the strategy that creates that platform. And so what I'm always looking for are ways for you to basically outflank and outsmart your competitors without having to outspend them. Now, full disclosure, I am a Canadian, which means I tend to be overly polite. Yes, I observe the sacraments of our national religion, stay in on Saturday nights to watch NHL hockey, and yes, have every reason to believe that in many circumstances, maple syrup is a wonderful beverage. I've also done a little bit of homework on Stan Matisiak, that an individual that I know some of you are familiar with. One of the great things about studying legends is that when you look at a photograph like this one with Stan and NFL Hall of Famer Chris Carter, it leads to interesting debate over exactly who is the legend being photographed. That being said, on today's agenda, there's three things we're going to cover here in less than an hour. We're going to talk about three things. Number one is your brand voice. How much does your brand voice stand apart relative to the rest of the competitors in your space? On a scale of 1 to 10, how different is your brand voice and message from everybody else? We're going to talk about vehicles. How effective and relevant are the vehicles you're using to deliver that brand voice and message? And number three, your vision. Are you, in fact, thinking big enough and far enough forward? And I fully anticipate you'll have many more questions by the time we get to the Q&A today. And one of those questions is why? Well, why study the origin of legends? What is it that we could possibly learn from the history books that might apply to what we're doing today in our businesses? And I guess the answer to that is, well, what if there's some, I don't know, intangible magnetic force that just might help positively influence buyer behavior in your favor? The language of brand speaks a very metaphorical, emotional, meaningful, and symbolic language. And that's the language we're going to use today, as opposed to the language of business, which tends to be very linear, analytical, logical, and focused on things that are rational, mechanical, and mathematical. So when we talk about legends, using the spirit of the metaphor, many people go right away to, well, King Arthur or Robin Hood or builders of nations, FDR, JFK, MLK. You've got science, the arts, industry, all the way from Einstein to Picasso, Edison, and Ford. You might say from Amelia Earhart to Led Zeppelin. Legends have always shown us how high and how far we can soar. So it doesn't matter whether it's Miracle Miles or Miracles on Ice. I think the quintessential phrase was coined by the Bambino, the Sultan of SWAT, after a double shot of whiskey and rye when he uttered, "Heroes get remembered, but legends never die." And why can Babe Ruth still make that claim? From the grave, it would be this baseball. This is the baseball that still holds the record, last time we checked, as having fetched the highest price on the open market for a single autographed baseball at $388,000 and change. What if there's a connection between that which is legendary and economic gain? We could literally flood you with dozens of these stories. It surfaced again with a hockey card that was auctioned off in December of 2020, just before Christmas. This Wayne Gretzky rookie card went on the auction block in 2016 for about $465,000. The legend only continues to grow as the latest price point is up around 1.3 million. But we're not just talking about the greats like Gretzky and Babe Ruth and athletes and celebrities. No, we're talking about, what about the actions of ordinary people? One woman refuses to give up her seat December 1st, 1955 on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama. Or June 6, 1944, the actions of 156,000 Allied soldiers storming the beaches of Normandy, France. And far from what anyone says now, the D-Day invasion was a highly risky operation. It was not a slam dunk sure thing. This was the largest amphibious operation in history. And you've got all kinds of logistics with 7,000 ships, nearly 12,000 aircrafts, a coalition of armies from different nations, and, oh, by the way, a most formidable opponent. And then several days before the planned invasion, the weather turns nasty in the English Channel. They don't know. Supreme Allied Command is split. They don't know. Should they go or wait for the weather to clear? Because some felt that the high winds and the heavy seas, it would be too risky. Compromise naval and aerial operations. Others felt, no, we got to go because we might compromise the secrecy and the surprise of the entire operation. In the end, the entire burden of command falls on the shoulders of one man, General Dwight D. Eisenhower. All the major decisions funneled through him. And I think what happened with General Eisenhower in the hours leading up to the decision to go ahead is very relevant to what business leaders all over the world experienced back in March of 2020 with the pandemic, which is this: leaders, by definition, must make difficult decisions with incomplete information. By definition. And I know that so many leaders, I talk to business leaders all over North America constantly. You've had to pivot, you've had to adjust and adapt in unprecedented times, and you haven't had all the data and the facts at your disposal as you would otherwise like. Well, that very much captures the spirit of Tim Beach when we met back in October of 2018. So in many respects, Tim is no different than any of you as a leader. He's kind of got this positive, upbeat attitude, sees the good in everyone. He's an optimist, but also a pragmatist when it comes to dealing with serious business issues. And those issues, as we talk about, have been so heavy since the pandemic. You know, is my business going to survive or fail? You know, how do we attract new customers and grow the business, especially if we can't see them face to face? What if I make a wrong decision? Hey, where do I find hope? And so that is a great way to capture all of those feelings in a way through a single story and a single case study. So I know that so many folks are going to have to do this in their imagination because all the cameras are turned off. But what I want you to do metaphorically is really think hard about, see if this relates to you. How many of you have an expensive product or service with a long purchase cycle? In other words, it kind of costs a lot and they don't buy every week. You also compete in a very crowded, over competitive, noisy market, and maybe like Tim already wasted a metric ton of money and time on marketing that was, quite frankly, ineffective and didn't work. So the antidote for all of this through Big Little Legends is unrelenting action. So in Tim's case, he's in the car business out there in Calgary, and there's 120 or so competitors in his trading zone. And think about the car business and how that industry speaks to everyone. Think of all the ads, 0.9% financing on all makes and models, no credit, no problem, this weekend only. It's the massive inventory clearance event and everything must go. And so Tim and I are talking that day, and he's really trying to wrap his head around how do we speak and conduct ourselves in a way that will actually positively influence buyer behavior in our favor. Now, I mentioned Tim is this upbeat, positive guy. And the way to describe him would be he's the guy that would be the very natural organizer of the event. In other words, getting people together to go down to the bar to watch the big game on the big screen. In fact, the day I showed up in April of 2019, This is what I saw. There was about 20 people running around that dealership, all with Calgary Flames jerseys on, as the Flames were getting ready to play game one of the Stanley Cup playoffs. There was this unmistakable spirit that was, I would say, in some respects, celebratory. So with Tim and his executive team, we put them through what we call a one-day boot camp to really find out what basically is what's the heartbeat, what's the soul of this company, not the products and services, and how can you capture the essence of it all and establish an identity with a story that you could basically tell forever. And when it comes to brand, especially now, you've only got 2 to 6 words that you can own in any marketplace. And in the case of Charles Glenn Toyota, based on what we discovered, they became Alberta's celebration destination. And when you say that you're Alberta's celebration destination, you can actually bring that story to life when you start doing this, when you actually start publishing stories of celebrations. Every day that people wake up, there's something to celebrate. There's something to celebrate, whether it's, it could be Jerry Seinfeld's birthday. It could be the 50th anniversary of the landing on the moon with Neil Armstrong. Mickey Mouse has a birthday. My point is that with every celebration that they do, and they do this on video, on Facebook every single day, they also have the corresponding cakes and cupcakes so that the in-store experience is reflecting and aligned with what's happening to the outside world. It's International Talk Like a Pirate Day. This goes on forever, by the way. And they started doing these in June of 2019. So we did the boot camp in April. They started implementing in June. It's National Dog Day. It's National One Hit Wonder Day. Hey, it's the Tooth Fairy Day. The anniversary of when the Flames relocated from Atlanta, Georgia to Calgary, and NHL hockey came to Calgary. So as a case study, here's what's happening. Every single day that they do these celebrations, start to picture how much more of a digital footprint and how much more of an impression they are making out there in terms of the likes, the shares, the comments, the goodwill, and the reputational equity they are building throughout not just in Southern Alberta, but all over the internet. And all you have to do is ask yourself strategically, how many other car dealers in Calgary, a market of about 120 or so, who else is doing this? There's only one, folks, only one Alberta's celebration destination. And last year, 2020, was not only their most profitable year in terms of overall profitability in the history of the dealership, but it's interesting, out of 247 dealers in the national network in Toyota Canada, in 2019, when they started this, they were ranked number 33. By the end of 2020, they had gone up to the number 25 spot, and they're still growing. In fact, I get the updates like this one, which was just texted in a few days ago, that Tim is saying they set an all-time record last month. Every department crushed its targets. Best March on record. We've been in business for 33 years. Kapow. Why is this all relevant to you? Why? Because differentiation and relevance are speed strategies. Let me say that again. Differentiation and relevance are speed strategies. Tim has a very different brand voice. He's also on very relevant platforms, meaning he's growing his business and brand faster. How long do you want to take to achieve your business and branding goals? And what I'm sharing, the other point that needs to be made here is that Tim's success story doesn't rely on slick SEO, Jedi mind tricks, or magic keywords, or data-driven analytics, focus groups, or heaven help us, a USP. No, instead, Tim Beach knows three big things that apply to everyone on the call today. Number one, we live in the attention economy. Attention equals currency. Can you get their attention? Attention equals currency. Anything you can get and manufacture and create in the form of attention translates to currency. Number two, execution is everything. The strategy is worthless unless you actually execute on the strategy. And Tim can also define very clearly the function of the brand, not what a brand is, but what it's supposed to do. And so that's a great question to be asking. What is your brand supposed to do? And we can actually summarize it in one word. It's a 4-letter word, to be sure. Your brand is supposed to behave like it was a giant magnet on steroids. And it's supposed to do one thing: pull. Pull what? Customers, clients, favorable reputation. It's supposed to pull more and more opportunities. It's supposed to make the phone ring, make people drop in. It's supposed to create more, shall we say, activity in your inbox from people who are naturally, organically drawn to you, like a giant magnet on steroids. Pull illustrates the difference between push, which is direct marketing. Yes, they are different. Two kinds of marketing: direct marketing and brand marketing. And so in the world of direct marketing, what are we talking about? The language of email blast, direct mail, SEO, digital tracking, pay per click, lead gen, calls to action. But basically, it speaks the language of the pitch. That's not what we're talking about today. No, we're talking about brand marketing, which is not about the pitch. It's about the conversation and the connection. It's about long-term relationships. And the reason we landed years ago on the difference between pull and push, besides gravity, was this: how much do the dynamics of a business relationship change when they willingly come to you, when they are naturally drawn in and can't wait to talk to you and get on your calendar? Now, we've studied the best brands in the world. We have seen very visible, validated evidence that this works in competitive markets. But the problem is, in this particular, shall we say, discipline, is that everyone tends to focus on the brands like Apple and Nike and Disney and Harley Davidson, and people like on this call say, well, wait a second, I can't relate. We're not them. We don't have the money, the resources. And so that was the genesis of Big Little Legends. Who are the small to medium-sized businesses out there that generate this incredible organic magnetic pull? Cafe Du Monde, there's lots of coffee shops in New Orleans, but in the heart of the French Quarter, legendary Cafe Du Monde is swarming with customers. We're talking night and day, 24/7, 364 days. Last time I checked, that's a $47 million a year cash business. You go up north, Pacific Northwest, Pike Place Fish Market, less than 1,000 square feet in a place that is cold, wet, and smelly, attracts thousands of people. And yet that too is doing over $10 million a year as people gather around to watch a bunch of guys in aprons go to work. And then what else is going on? I'm hoping that you can see what's the physical evidence that's going on in the screen behind me, which is they're taking pictures, they're uploading content to the internet. Could it be? Is that possible? The customer is doing the marketing on their behalf. And let's go to Northern Ontario. It's called Weber's, about 5 miles north of Orillia. They sell burgers, shakes, and fries, and the lineup has been consistent going all the way back to the late 1960s. Are we to believe that the burger, shakes, and fries at Weber's are of that much better quality? That can't be it. There's something else that's got to be happening there. How do you explain the selfies, the photo ops, and more than anything, the study of Big Little Legends focuses on these two questions: what sparks the lineup? What sustains it? What inspires Marie Osmond to take a selfie and post it to her Twitter account? To be clear, there are 4 defining characteristics of the dozens of Big Little Legends that we've studied. Number 1, they own a substantial share of the market. Number 2, they demonstrate longevity. They have a positive impact that has a favorable reputation that extends way beyond their area code. And They have a brand story that gets told and retold over and over again. Like I said, we've identified dozens, far too many to go into this presentation or even in the book that's coming out later this year. But hopefully today you'll see some distinct parallels and understand that all the big little legends speak an entirely different voice. And this is one of the things that we said we were going to talk about today. Does your brand voice blend in or stand apart? Because the last thing you want to do, if you want to create an irresistible brand where they come to you, the last thing you can do is speak category language. It'll never work. People are not drawn to category language, kind of like the typical radio spot you've heard for decades. We offer fast, friendly, reliable service at affordable prices. Our friendly and knowledgeable staff is here Monday to Friday, 9 till 6, and Saturday, 10 till 4 for your shopping convenience. Quality selection, guaranteed low prices, just some of the things you could depend on and trust from your locally owned and operated value center. Ask yourself, where does an ad like that register on your personal give a shit-o-meter? And if you're in the B2B space, you're saying, well, geez, we don't have radio ads, but you do have home pages, about us sections of websites where XYZ works with valued customers on data-driven, results-oriented, innovative, and synergistic solutions. Yes, and known for our unwavering commitment to customer satisfaction, XYZ has provided leading-edge solutions, and as an integrated provider, we aspire to the highest level of integrity for all of our stakeholders. Ask yourself, how much different is that from everybody else in terms of the marketplace? Yes, the words matter. These are dead words, the weasel words. And quality is, does everyone on the call have a quality, a product or service with the highest of quality? The answer is yes. We've got to go to something bigger, something more meaningful, something different. And in the spirit of differentiation from where we sit, it's so simple. If everybody zigs, what do? You zag. And in terms of the zag, here's the big zag you've got to decide on. You've got to decide what you're not going to be. You actually have to make a conscious decision as a leader to say, I am not going to play in the category mosh pit like everybody else. You're going to stop and ask yourself, what's it really costing us to be the same as everybody else? Because in the world of big little legends, being different beats being better, because people in the attention economy are not voting with their wallets. They're voting with their time. Time is the most precious resource. If you can earn their time and get their attention, you might be able to make a connection. If you can make a connection, maybe you can build a relationship. Maybe then inspire trust. And if you inspire trust, maybe then they will buy from you gladly, willingly. As we segue from voice to vehicles, how effective and relevant are the current vehicles you're using? For so much of the 20th century, marketing was dominated by the media industrial complex. There's no other way to say it. Radio, television, newspaper. How many of you spend a ton of money on things like this? The Yellow Pages. Every year, the Yellow Pages dude would show up at your door and you wrote the check for the ad. Why? Because if you weren't in the Yellow Pages, they couldn't find you. It was marketing by extortion. Great business model. But now we're in a completely different era, and we're going to take a page metaphorically and symbolically from the great one. When it comes to marketing, skate to where the puck is going to go, not where it's already been. We already know where it's been. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, yeah, but how does that apply if I'm in a B2B category and I've got a kind of an unsexy product or service, a bit of an ugly duckling, and I'm in a remote location and I'm trying to sell to distant markets and I've got a 10-cent marketing budget, but I can still take unrelenting action just like these guys. Harvey Stewart, Darren Mitchell. They are from Coleman, Prince Edward Island, Canada, Canada's smallest province, and they manufacture live bottom trailers. And a population of Coleman, PEI would be about 86 people. And but in 2010, when the company was doing about $2 million a year, what they did is they launched a YouTube channel. And over the years, that YouTube channel has grown and grown and grown quite significantly, more than 6 million views now. And what are they doing there? As of 2019 year end, they were at 45 million, 106 employees. And one of the things about Trout River, they're not afraid to show who they are beyond their products and services. And so they are very consistent with posting content on their YouTube channel, content that is educational, content that is entertaining, informative, inspiring. It's not about ads. Those, because as soon as it gets to ads and a pitch, we're not talking brand marketing anymore. We're talking direct marketing. So one of the things that Trout River does that they're very cognizant of is they provide added value after the sale for the men and women who are driving the rigs. They do a lot of how-to videos, and it's real simple. You just, scan the barcode and boom, whatever you're wondering about comes up with a how-to video. What's happened over the years is that by being educational, by being entertaining, by being informative and inspiring, Trout River Industries has continued to build friends all over the world. There's the music video called What Do You Do with a Trout River Trailer? And what's happened, the company has grown to the point where they're in about 24 different countries on 6 different continents. And the implications are clear for anyone who's really paying attention to where the marketing puck is going. The implication, there is no more B2B or B2C when it comes to your brand. Business model, sure, but not marketing, not brand. That's done. B2B and B2C is a relic of the 20th century. Now there's only person to person, P2P, because we're all now connected more than ever since the pandemic with all of these wonderful tools and platforms. And so when you study a company like Trout River Industries and you look at a video that about greasing the trailer that maybe only got 536 views, but ask yourself, wait a second, who's watching? And does the guy watching that video then send it to his boss? And then does that explain how the incoming call comes from Lincoln, Nebraska, where some guy says on the other end of the phone, hey, I've been watching some of your videos. And that phone call translates into a $2 million piece of business. The brand did its job. The brand is pulling people in, whether it's incoming phone calls, inbound emails. That's what we're talking about. But let's face it, those incoming calls and those types of situations and scenarios don't happen unless Trout River Industries actually does this. They have to create content that people will actually gladly and willingly share. In other words, they have to start thinking about, wait a second, how are we going to get our customer to do the marketing for us? And the customer will never do the marketing unless we supply them with the content. And that's why a video like this, for example, that maybe only got 242 views, but wait a second, someone from Los Angeles is watching with the Boring Company who just happens to be, working for Elon Musk. And that's how Elon Musk and his company becomes a client of Trout River Industries in Coleman, PEI, population 86, in Canada's smallest province. Because here's what Darren and Harvey understand. You are now a media company first, and you are a fill in the blank company second. You're a media company first, you're a manufacturer second. And that applies universally across the board. And a media company that actually produces its own content has to look seriously at what are the pillars of the whole network: Facebook, YouTube. In other words, if you're not producing consistent, original, video-based content on Facebook and YouTube, it's like you don't exist. The real opportunity, skate to where the puck is going, understands and recognizes Facebook and YouTube are 1 and 1A, biggest platforms on planet Earth. Are there other great platforms out there? Yes, yes, and yes. But I'm all about fundamentals. And fundamentally, I don't get so tied up and wound up and particular about my favorite. I know everyone's got their favorite. Personally, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn, but I'm not going to be so stubborn as to only post my content on LinkedIn when I can also access for free the biggest platforms in the world, Facebook and YouTube. YouTube, owned by Google. And what I see consistently, especially in the last year since the pandemic, is opportunity is slipping through during the research phase. And how does the research phase work? It's make or break. That's the time when people, from the comfort of their laptops, are searching things like Facebook, YouTube, the Goog, to find out, what do I need to know out there? So that's a great way to demonstrate. Again, if you're in a B2B industry, what happened with Bob Lennon and Thermalwood Canada. And so let's just suppose you need thermally modified wood. And I told you, well, just Google Thermalwood Canada. It would take you straight to a website. What do you see on the website? A big box with an arrow. And on that big box with an arrow, if you're already in the market and already curious, you're likely going to press the arrow. And what are you going to see? A typical corporate video? No, everyone, that corporate video too, that's been done to death. No one cares about your 100,000 square feet of state-of-the-art facilities and factory trained technicians. But when Bob Lennon describes what it's like to be out there in northern New Brunswick and routinely dismissed as a bit of a have-not province, and very underestimated in terms of what they can do and their capabilities. And he shows this panoramic view of some of the most picturesque places on the planet. And then he stares the camera in the face. How many of you would like to see the guy behind the operation, looking the camera right in the eye? And then you get to judge for yourself what this guy's all about. And so consequently, this is the kind of story. It's not so much a corporate video, it's a movie trailer that really illustrates why Thermalwood Canada is doing what it's doing and who are the personalities involved with that. So you can see as a potential buyer what this is all about. Now start to ask yourself, wouldn't my buyer want the same experience? Which leads to the question, well, what's the purpose of the homepage? And it's real simple. Again, 1 and 1A. It's to create connection and inspire trust. That's all. And there's no more powerful way to do that by creating this movie trailer type scenario. So much so that in the first month, Thermalwood Canada, 18,000 views and 104 organic shares. But it doesn't stop there, because Bob Lennon is taking Thermalwood Canada, in his case, the story of Northern Heat. That's what they're all about, Northern Heat. Bring it, bring people who are bringing the heat, making a difference. And Bob's a real community guy. So every Friday, here's what he does. He does what's called the Northern Heat Report, and he profiles other community-minded people, not just in his area, but in other communities. And there they are on for about an 6 to 8 minute type of call or interview on Facebook video and on YouTube, because Bob Lennon gets it. He understands the mandate of the media company is to actually grow an audience. When you grow an audience and connect with people in a very genuine manner, then that somehow word gets around, and maybe that's how someone who is sincerely interested goes and actually visits their website and then starts to become acquainted with who they are and what they're all about. So, does your brand voice stand apart? On a scale of 1 to 10, how different are you in terms of your voice? Number 2, are your vehicles relevant and effective? And number 3, is your vision, as we say, big enough? And are you looking far enough forward? Now, Diana, I think I'm only going to go over by about maybe 5 minutes here, but I'll wrap it up. Just so you know, full disclosure, I am the son of a former professional golfer. My dad was a Scottish schoolboy champion, born 7 minutes from the first tee at St. Andrews. He's 81 and still walks 18 without a power cart. And I'm nowhere near the golfer my dad is. Last time he and I played together, he was 77. He shot 75. Like I say, he's 81 now. I'm fortunate if I can break 100. But one thing I learned from dad about the game of golf, no 2 days are the same. I see a lot of parallels between golf and business. And so as a golfer and as a business leader, you kind of have to embrace the wisdom of uncertainty. You can't always be stuck on thinking we need all the answers right away, which is exactly what happened in 2002 when I met this guy, and his name is Jim Gilbert. And Jim and his wife, Donna, they had a small family business, a mom and pop. They were doing about 1.5 million a year. They had about 5 or 6 employees, and they were selling an interchangeable product or service. There was nothing different about what they were selling than everybody else in their market. And in their case, here's what happened. We met in 2002, and it only took us 4 years to figure out the strategy. It was half by accident, half with intention, but we had no guarantees. There was no assurances, but here's how it went down. What we decided to do in September of 2006 was tell a completely different story. And that completely different story revolved around Jim becoming Canada's huggable car dealer. Yes, he's the Casanova of customer focus. He's the Romeo of roadsters. By golly, he's the McDreamy of drive. Stop by at Jim Gilbert's and get your daily dose of Hugtonium, designed to improve your love affair with your car and your libido. And about 6 weeks in, we started to realize this is actually working. Strangers are approaching Jim, coffee shop, grocery lineup, shopping mall, all looking for a hug. And then that's when we realized, wait a second, this is bigger than we even thought. And to Donna's credit, it was Donna who said, we can't just talk about being the huggable car dealer. We actually have to be that. So much of becoming a big little legend is, can you discover, tell, and live your own story? Can you live it? 6 weeks in, folks, that's when the teddy bears started to show up. And at first it was a dozen or so teddy bears, and then it became hundreds. And teddy bears led to mascots and merry-go-rounds. I always describe it as, if Walt Disney imagined a used car lot, this is it. In Fredericton, New Brunswick, there's the 2-kilometer nature trail to go walk your dog. Why would a used car dealer publish a children's book? And how do you explain what happened in August of 2019 when Jim and Donna celebrated 40 years in business? 40 years, and more than 2,000 people show up, lined up to give them a hug and thank them and congratulate them. Jim Gilbert's at this stage employs 38 people. As of 2020, it did north of $50 million. We have seen, in a category that some view as suspicious and sketchy, incredible business growth. Largest independent used car dealer in all 4 Atlantic Canadian provinces. And he's become the metaphorical equivalent to being the Apple, the Ferrari, the Nike of his product service category. He's got the giant magnet on steroids, but here's what's applicable to you. In terms of applicability to become the big little legend, it is about embracing uncertainty with the courage to zag, to do what no one else in your category would ever think of doing. That being said, you got to start to think about, well, how would that start to impact culture and inspire trust, knowing full well I can't spend my way to the top. I've actually got to put it into practice with unrelenting action, which is why I always say this is a leadership issue. It's not a marketing issue. Marketing companies and marketing consultants don't build great brands. Only great leaders do. Leaders who are willing to push the envelope, willing to challenge all the accepted notions. And it wasn't until 2018 where Jim and Donna expanded the brand into power sports and recreational vehicles. Could you take the teddy bears and could you take the brand of the huggable car dealer and slap it on Kawasaki products? And how would that play out in a real life market situation? Well, if you need the numbers, There's people at Kawasaki Canada headquarters in Toronto that they are baffled by this. They can't make sense of it. How does a guy enter the market in 2018 part-time, becomes the number 2 ranked Kawasaki dealer in Canada in 2019? There's 160 dealers in the network. By the end of 2020, he becomes not only number 1, but he also, through 2020, gives $2,000 raises to his people, and in fact becomes the first Kawasaki dealer in Canadian history to surpass the 500 unit mark. You're wondering, why does this work? And we're going to take some questions and open up the floor. You want to know why this works? It's when you recognize it's got nothing to do with 4 wheels and a piece of tin. That's Jim's expression. Nothing to do with the product or service. Nothing. Those are the words he said on the day we met in 2002. Even back then, he was looking, he was searching, he was trying to find something different. It only took us 4 years to figure it out that what is a brand? It's a story, and that story becomes embedded in the mind of the market. People don't share product, service, feature, advantage, benefit, but they do share stories. And strategically, when you use brand from a strategic point of view, you're tapping into centuries old frameworks of how stories work. We've identified in our consulting practice, there's only 7 basic stories. There's only 7 basic stories. And so it was a guy from the UK, Christopher Booker, who wrote the book, The 7 Basic Plots. So Rocky is the same story as Rudy, same story as Cinderella Man. It's called Overcoming the Monster, with a little bit of rags to riches. And what Booker's research did was really capture at a very high level how these different story themes play out. And what does it mean in the world of brand building, especially if you're serious about building it long term? It's kind of like Nike. Nike's brand fundamentally is built on an overcoming the monster plot line, and they give you 3 words to help you do it, right? Just do it, and you can slay that dragon. And so these are the kinds of things that we look at in terms of honoring also what Simon Sinek introduced with that fabulous TED Talk. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And they won't buy why you do it until you can also answer the question, well, who are you beyond your products and services? Who are you for real beyond your products and services? Because that's what the audience now online, like never before, are looking to try and figure out. And this can be done in every category. I was telling Diana earlier today, actually, this is something brand new out of the workshop. How many lawyers do you think there are in Chicago? And if you want the specific number, it would be in Cook County, Illinois, it's 45,210. So what makes this lawyer different from all the other lawyers? The answer? Well, it's on his new movie trailer type video that, in terms of building the strategy, one of the things we found out about David was that he was the grandson of Holocaust survivors. And David, with his grandfather helping instill the love of baseball, David became obsessed with the New York Yankees and collecting baseball cards. And in fact, so much so that a few years ago, he sold 10 of those baseball cards for like $250,000. Some of his memorabilia is at Cooperstown in the Baseball Hall of Fame. David Rubenstein becomes the game day attorney. And as the game day attorney, and this is something, like I say, just out of the workshop, you have to ask yourself strategically, is that a very different brand voice that everybody else has? Is he using platforms that are effective and relevant in how brands are being built in the 21st century? How many other game day attorneys do you think there are in Chicago, Illinois, or in fact, all of America? And I think it helps if everyone recognizes that that video is the bridge between strategy and execution. But strategically, if your communication is not aligned with some of the greatest stories in the world, is not aligned with the 7 basic plots, doesn't have elements of drama, mystery, intrigue, suspense, comedy, surprise, heroes, and villains, which is how the best brands in the world are built, then what happens is you run the risk of sounding the same like everyone else. And that's what anyone can do when they recognize there is a way to think bigger, to think further forward in terms of their vision and what they can do with their brand. So, Diana, I apologize for being just a little bit over, but let's open the floor to questions, comments, observations.
Okay, thank you so much. Very inspiring. I think we all kind of can look in retrospect as why we start a new job or new business and kind of dig deep on it. So I thought, thank you very much for that inspiring speech. Please type your questions or raise your hand or type it in the chat box. We are open for questions for Mr. Maxwell. Sorry, Gair, I won't do that again.
Yeah, I apologize. I just had to duck around because on the other side of the monitor, now I can see the chat. But can you translate the chat in terms of the questions, or maybe people can jump on?
So far, there's no questions.
So all of this made perfect sense to everyone? I see loud and clear. I see hello from Texas. I think that's from.
Yeah, that was earlier. Well, okay. We appreciate everything you've done, Gair.
Yeah. So like I say, I'm always curious in terms of, Diana, who is struggling with that issue of differentiation and how much does it really matter? Because
We're starting to get some questions in.
okay.
Jonathan George is asking, how do you recommend getting alignment from your team on the voice of the organization?
Oh, that's a great question. I hear that question all the time. So thanks for asking, Jonathan. The issue that Jonathan is speaking to, and I don't want to get too specific because we only have a few minutes, but it still comes down to this. Inside the organization, you run the risk of thinking too much of being inside the bottle. It helps more if you can get an outsider perspective, a customer perspective, but not a focus group. Focus groups, by definition, are largely ineffective. Just so you know, and if anyone wants, and I will send you the email that you can to explore this at a deeper, more specific level. I make myself available, Diana, for 20-minute Zoom calls for anyone who wants to just bounce ideas off, that are very specific to their business. So I'll send you that and you'll have the link and some additional resources you can share with everyone. But the fundamental issue that Jonathan's bringing up, you can't read the label with the inside the bottle. And so until you get a clear perspective on who you are, this is the big question. Start asking, who are you beyond the products and services, Jonathan, and ask more. If they keep coming back to stuff that is all focused on the product, you don't have the answers yet. The products are the products, but to create an irresistible and maybe one day legendary brand, you can't be product focused. You've got to be story focused. That's how it's done. And that's how the best brands in the world are built. And that's why Apple's a $2 trillion a year company. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And we have another question from Bobby McAfee.
Okay.
How many times weekly do you suggest posting updates online, and how much is too much?
Oh, that's a fabulous question. In fact, I'm just going to very quickly, I would say more than anything, Diana, it's because I do get that question, and it's all subject to available resources. So Charles Glenn Toyota that we talked about earlier, they post every day. Bob Lennon is posting every Friday. Personally, I post every second Wednesday because that's all we're resourced to do. And so consequently, for everyone watching, I'm the easiest guy to find on the web. And if you want R&D, and R&D we all know is rob and duplicate, anything I'm doing, you go right ahead. So I would go to the blog on the website, I would subscribe, and you can start to see what being a media company looks like. So consequently, I do every second Wednesday, and I do stories around legends. So for example, I was in Silicon Valley. There's Steve Jobs' house. There's the house, the garage. where a $2 trillion company was born. And what I've discovered is when you tell stories that about subjects and issues and personalities and things that people actually care about, you can over time start to build your own audience. Now, that's what I'm doing in my case. And again, that's why I always recommend people subscribe to the blog or connect with me on LinkedIn. But just understand, I think there's only about 4 options in terms of consistency, which is daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. But whatever it is, Diana, you got to be consistent. You got to, what time is the 6 o'clock news? It's always 6 o'clock, because consistency is what builds trust and what we call reputational equity. This is something we did with Jeff Colvin, who's the senior editor at large at Fortune magazine. But when you go to, whether it's our YouTube channel or the blog, you're going to see a myriad of different examples of what stories, not ads, look like. One of the biggest ones we ever did was actually was a tribute to the late Edward Van Halen, who passed away back in October, and that has generated nearly 3,000 views and well over 100 shares in the biggest Eddie Van Halen fan group on Facebook. So that's why it's so important to embrace the wisdom of uncertainty. And that's why people will say, like, I see a comment from someone, original content, that seems quite a challenge. Well, that's why, Diana, this is for leaders who don't want to be like everybody else. And to create a legend, part of it is accepting, yeah, this is going to be hard. It's not easy. It's not like going to Google and downloading the 8 easy steps. And if it's hard, I say bravo, because if it's hard, that means no one else in my category is going to do it. So hopefully that makes some sense. And like I say, Diana, I'll send you and copy Melanie, and we can share those additional resources, some video-based resources that people, folks can look at and wrap their heads around about what this means to become a media company first and a security solutions provider second.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's all we have for questions and answers. And now we will be going to our best business practice sessions. Thank you, Gair. I will be speaking to you soon.
My pleasure. Thank you. And really thanks, Diana, for the opportunity. I see Pete Lopez coming on, as we did a couple of dry runs the other day. And like I say, we look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you. And now the legend himself, our national sales executive, Pete Lopez, who actually came in second place in our NCAA tournament after leading the entire time prior to Monday evening. Take it away, Pete.
Hi, thank you, everyone. Let me get my screen up. All right, so what I'll be doing is I'll be covering April's best business practice. The topics would be 3G and CDMA sunsets, as well as builder education. So we have a great group of panelists with us. We have Vince Raya from EMC. We have Michelle Wiseman from Security Vision. We have Randall Duncan from DataSmart. We have Taylor Sears from Silent Guard. And then we have Naveed Kamanis from Sight and Sound Systems. I'd like to thank everybody for assisting us through this, all the panelists. So as you guys might already know, Verizon and AT&T, they're having the 3G sunset, and they're slowly starting to transition that, so we're having to replace the radios. The official dates for AT&T is going to be February 28, 2022. And then we have Verizon, which the official date is December 31st, 2022. So what we've come up as a group is a couple of proactive approaches that some of these dealers have already put into place. For example, the first one that's going to talk with us is going to be Vince Raya. He and his team came up with an email that they sent out to their customers. And Vince, if you can kind of explain how you went about what you wrote on there and some of the wording that you used so that you didn't generate a whole bunch of calls coming into your office or create a panic.
Okay, thanks, Pete. Hopefully you can hear me. Like
Yep.
a lot of, okay, good. Like a lot of people on this call today, EMC Security had a cell radio problem. We had 22,500 cellular customers that needed to be upgraded. So we knew that now for a little while, but of course we ran into COVID, which slowed down the effort. We've replaced 5,000 so far. We've done that just through service. So anytime we go out on a service call, if they have a radio that needs replaced, we do it. We don't even, in many cases, tell the customer that's what we're there to do. We're just doing it as part of the service. That leaves us 6,000 AT&T radios to replace this year, 10,000 Verizons to replace before 2022, and about 400 PERS. So our plan is AT&T goes first. We're going to do those this year with a targeted plan, and Verizon's pushed off a little bit except for service. And the PERS are actually going to go in the very last months of the year because of high attrition in the PERS area. So that's the plan. We have, as I said, we've replaced 5,000 radios already, and now we're going to get ready to do the big push. It started on March 6th. We did an email blast to all of our customers that we had an email on record, and that was sent out to everyone that had an email. Also, we did a boosted Facebook posting, and we did a website blog, and they all said exactly the same message: what 5G was, why the upgrade was necessary. We emphasized that not all systems are affected. And I think that's important because otherwise we're going to get, like you all might get, thousands and thousands of calls from concerned customers. A lot of them have already been replaced. Some of them don't have to be replaced until next year. So we tried to explain it the best we could that your system may not be affected and that we would be calling you to schedule the replacement if yours needed to be replaced. In time, you would never have any downtime or be out without service. And then, of course, in that, we also introduced some upgrades they could do, touchscreen upgrades, interactive upgrades, cameras, just lightly touched on that. We didn't want it to sound too salesy. We want it to be informative. So that went out on March 6th. We are getting calls, as you can imagine. And then the next thing we're doing now is starting to call all those people and get these things on the schedule. Have a full-time scheduler. And we have 6 dedicated teams, individuals, technicians that are doing nothing but radio replacements between now and the end of the year for the AT&T. In addition, we did a Google AdWord purchase that so people wanted to go and see if we were telling them the truth or if they wanted more information. It will lead them to a landing page that we created that has that same information I just told you about. And we also did a radio ad, which we're doing right now in order to tell our customers about the upgrade, but also possibly harvest some competitors' customers that are getting the same message from their companies. So that's what we did. We have a limited time to get it done. It's going to be interesting to see how well we do with the upgrades, because that's very important to us to help pay for this program. But so far, it looks like a lot of people are interested in adding technology such as cameras, such as interactive services. They love the new touchscreen that we can do as part of the cellular radio replacement through Alula. So there's a lot of good opportunities here for you as well, for your customers.
Thank you, Vince. And I thought it was very important on how you worded it, that you would be calling the customers so that you didn't get those calls coming in. You were actually allowed to, hey, be expecting our call if you need that upgrade. And kind of going into the next proactive approach, Vince, you elected to go with replacing the radios for free, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And that was a tough decision because it's a big investment for all of us. but as competitive as the market is right here in Atlanta, and I didn't want to invite any more new entrants into the market space. So that's what we decided to do. And hopefully with the upgrades and with lowering attrition, this will be a good decision for us.
I appreciate it, Vince. And so we'll move on to Michelle Wiseman. Michelle Wiseman, you elected to go with a different program. You're, I think, using the free at the last. And can you kind of explain what you and your team are doing?
Yes. Can you hear and see me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yeah, we don't have as many to do, but we still have quite a few to hit. So we are trying to do a combination of a couple things. As our customers call in for any kind of service or any reason whatsoever, my admin staff's instructed to pull their accounts immediately. The first thing they're looking at is, do they have a radio or are they on phone line? Do they need to be upgraded? And then discuss that, again, tackling that while we're already going out to a customer. Our first approach is to kind of have the conversation of, here we're going to, we kind of briefly explain kind of what's going on, and then say, well, your radio would need to be upgraded. And we try to get at least $199 up front to at least just cover cost of the radio and, trip fee kind of thing, and let them know we're installing it for free. It's not their fault, it's our fault, but we're going to work together. And if they give us any kind of pushback, any kind of, that's, too much money, or I don't have that money, or hey, somebody else could do this for free and give me a whole new system, then we immediately kind of say, well, we do offer more options. And then, we kind of go from there, depending on the type of customer, what kind of pushback. Either we would say, well, we could take that cost and we could divide it over, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever works for them, to work with them, let them know we're willing to work with them, just covering the cost of the radio, and we're installing it for free. And again, that's just trying to get a few dollars into the door. But we also offer the option, of course, we will do the upgrade at no cost because they've been a great customer, as long as they sign a new 3-year agreement. And most of the time we don't have any pushback with any of those. I've had a few that didn't want to renew a 3-year agreement, and I would at least get them to renew a year agreement. So again, I'm not going to walk away. I'm not going to let somebody go to somebody else. And we haven't really had that problem, but those are the steps I try to take. Again, just try to help a little bit with the cash flow, with how we're handling it. We are also taking our list, and the Admin Girls, we have a goal of trying to get to at least 30 customers in a month to just start talking on the most critical ones, to talk about getting them scheduled. And at the time, for both of them, either whether people are calling in or we're calling them, we're also taking that moment to let them know, hey, the plus side of this is there's other things that we can do to your system that maybe you don't have available now. We can, upgrade your system to the newer touchscreen keypad. We could, add cameras to your system, or keyless entry door lock. And we kind of talk about some of those things. So some of those people have that interest, and we kind of make it seem like, hey, with this new radio, here's the plus, so kind of putting a spin on it, and that, we're working with them. So we, if they pay for the radio, maybe we'll incentivize and do a half off a product, or whatever it takes to try to get out there the door, talk to the customer, and at least try to, like I said, recoup some of those dollars, is basically, the goal that we're trying to do. And so far it's been pretty good. So at least a little bit of the money we get helps compensate for the ones we're giving away, and we don't have to give away all of it. So.
No, that's great, Michelle. And as far as the pushbacks, is it a high amount of pushback that you're getting, or?
It's really not. Surprisingly, it's really not. But, I think we kind of know that already, because again, we are a smaller outfit. I don't have a gazillion customers. So we pretty much know our customers, a lot of them, and we kind of already prepared where we may have to go with that particular customer. And I kind of, most of the time, basically knowing where they live, or what type of customer they have, or what systems we've put in there before, or is this the type of customer that spent money with us before? Or is it somebody we've already had to do something at like next to nothing? So usually by what they've done in the past, we kind of already have an idea of how we're going to have to approach it. But really, no, most of them really have not given us much pushback, and we just make it seem like, oh, well, no big deal. We can do it at no cost. You don't mind signing a new 3-year agreement. We can recoup it together, and we want to keep you as a value customer. And, people are really receptive to that. So.
Got it. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay.
And then next one to talk about the topic as well is Randall Duncan. Randall, what are you and your team doing out there? How are you guys proactively approaching this sunset? I think you're on mute, Randall.
There we go. Sorry about that. I said I feel bad, but it just came to my mind that thank God I'm not Vince. So I feel bad saying that, but it's the truth with the number of people that he has to worry about. I don't have the exact number. In fact, I was just texting somebody, but we were probably over 1,000, which is not nearly what he had. And we're down to, I think, 400 when I checked last night. We roughly did about 10% of them last month and roughly 10% the month before that. So again, not nearly as big of a problem as some of the others on this meeting has, but we're hoping to be done, fingers crossed, by the end of the year. So we feel good there. I had my team update me last night kind of with, our original strategy and then where we kind of moved to. And that was we were bringing some people in to work evenings and weekends, and we just weren't really having a lot of success. We were getting some people on the phone, but just a lot of people do not want to answer their phone after 5 or on weekends. So we just didn't have a whole lot of success. Then the team decided to use MailChimp, and we started with 100 customers just to kind of sample it and make sure we didn't bite off more than we can chew. That went pretty well. We then, the second week, went to 200 customers and then kept building that number up. And now, especially since we're only down to about 400, we are now utilizing MailChimp on a weekly basis and emailing all eligible customers with the promos. So we're currently offering a couple promos. One, in the event that we get pushback, like you said, we're doing 0 down. And, as long as they're willing to sign a new 3-year agreement. And then again, just like everybody else said on the call, so we don't lose anybody, we're only asking for $99. And you can maintain the month-to-month agreement. So really trying to keep things simple. I did have James, which is on this call, run some numbers for us. And it's sad to say we have such a strong person doing our 3G program that people just trust her. She's well-spoken. She's well-received over the phone. And our actual average gross profit is substantially higher. In fact, highest in even compared to all of our new deals that we're bringing on. So we feel lucky that not only are we getting the $99 in many cases, but we're also getting upgrades. So at the same time we roll that truck, we're making additions, upgrading, adding video, potentially switching out to a Qualsys or a 2 gig, something like that. So anyway, again, much smaller perspective than Vince, but we're very, very happy. But the phone program did not work for us. So but the repeated weekly emails has brought in a lot of success. So I kind of made a few notes here that we're also, in the event that we have a service call, we do have something pop up that tells us it's a 3G needs to be done. And of course, we're killing 2 birds with 1 stone in that truck roll. I mentioned before that we're knocking about 10% of them down per month right now. Let's see if there's anything else here that I failed to mention. Really, that's it. Again, it's much smaller. We have one specific person working them. Again, she's very trustworthy. She's been with the company a long time, excellent phone skills, just a nice, calm demeanor about her. She's extremely good with follow-up and checking in, and she does what she promises she's going to do. So I think you build confidence with homeowners like that, and I think we do a pretty good job overall with our client base, and they know that they can trust us. So definitely not getting them all, but we're pretty happy where we are right now.
Thank you, Randall. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. But as of right now, we're going to switch to the next topic, which is builder education. So a couple options that we have. The first one for help educating the builder is our AiN Builder Luncheon. For those of you that aren't aware, AiN does host builder luncheons. Kind of were put on pause because of COVID, but we were doing them in the past, and actually we're starting to ramp those back up again. And Taylor Sears is currently going to be having one in the next upcoming months. And Taylor, just give us some of the perspective of how you plan on doing it with COVID, how you plan on reaching out to some of your builders and going from there.
Yeah. So Pete, can you hear me all right?
We can hear you, sir.
So thanks, Pete. For those that don't know who we are, Silent Guard is primarily a retrofit company. So we don't have a lot of new construction in our area. So we're a little bit different than a lot of the AiN dealers. So for us, as we're getting into some new markets and opening additional offices, we're trying to figure out how does this whole builder thing work for us. So I know I've seen some names on the call of people that we've spent time even in your office and have been very gracious to teach us kind of the infrastructure of how the program works. So the next step for us was how do we get in front of these builders? And, you know, I'm a 28-year-old dude. The guy that runs our builder program for us is 28. And then the guy that runs our office and our new office, he's 26. So, you know, we're just some young guys that are trying to get in front of these builders that have been around for a long, long time. So where we've found we're having an issue is establishing credibility. So, you know, in the market we're in our main office, everybody kind of knows who we are, but in some of these new markets, we don't have the clout to even get meetings set up. So what we're doing is working with the AiN group and some of the vendors, specifically Nortec has been a huge asset to us and just helping us to kind of penetrate these relationships that we're having a hard time, just like I said, getting meetings set up. So what we're doing through the builder luncheon is first and foremost, we've got to figure out what builders do we want to target. So we've kind of put together a list of who we're looking to bring and invite to this luncheon. Beyond that, we're partnering with Nortec and looking at some of the home sphere builders through that program that they're partnered with. And we're going to kind of go after the low hanging fruit of people that already have relationship with AiN vendors and use AiN's clout across the rest of the country because of some of the awesome stuff that all you guys are doing. So that's kind of our plan of attack. That's how we're generating our list. We're going to try to find ways that when we actually set up this luncheon, you know, I think everybody's a little bit tired of this whole virtual thing. So our goal is to make it as in person as possible. We'll, you know, yet to be determined, and that may dictate the timing of it. So we're in Kentucky. Things are starting to open back up and get somewhat next to normal, but we definitely don't have, like Pete has in Texas, we don't have MLB stadiums full of fans. So we're not there yet. I hope that happens sooner than later and we can kind of do this in person. What we may have to do is set it up as kind of a hybrid event. But we're trying as much as possible to do things in person. And that's our plan for this. So Pete, is there anything else you want me to add to that?
No, that's great, Taylor. We appreciate it. And like I said, this is open to all AiN members. If you are interested, just reach out to your VPs, Mark, Larry, Rod, and they can help assist with the luncheon. And that's just one of the benefits of being part of AiN. So the next way we can educate the builder is a couple of the AiN members are doing what's called either sales rallies or meeting with the sales team of the builder. So once you bring the builder on board, you know, either have a monthly meeting, and Randall, if you want to explain a little bit more, I don't want to take your thunder there. What you guys are doing in your market, and how are you educating your builder by meeting with the sales representatives of those builders?
Sure. And of course, you know, we're relatively diversified between production and custom builders. So I'd tell you that the strategy is a little bit different depending on, you know, the actual builder themselves. So starting with the custom builders, you know, they're a lot easier to, I guess you would say, touch because you've got, you know, one or two key people at the company. You send them a text message, meet up with lunch, and just check in, see how things are going. So I try to, you know, reach out to several of the builders monthly or quarterly. And currently I'm kind of doing a big round of lunches right now. So with the custom guys, you know, we tend to see them quite a bit, and it's much easier to get that lunch with them or happy hour or something like that. with several of our custom builders and semi-custom builders for that matter, we actually are part of their onboarding process. Now, I wish it was a higher number than it actually is, but we're happy that we have the number of builders that we have that send not only their sales team, but also their construction team to one of our showrooms as part of their actual onboarding process. So when that builder is, trying to onboard a new salesperson, sales manager, marketing, construction, part of that process, those first couple of days of onboarding with that builder, is they actually come and spend an hour or two at our showroom. They can at that point experience a customer technology consultation. We review the paperwork. This is what it's going to look like. This is what your customers should expect when we reach out to schedule their consultation. So the key is if you don't get these builders and these salespeople on board with the process, they're going to resist it every time they can. So the more easy and the more thorough we can make that documentation, the better it is. So again, part of that onboarding process for sales and construction. The other thing we do is, and because of course we all know that salespeople just churn so often, and you get into the high volume game, you've got hundreds of models, within one market. So we have a couple of account managers that their sole responsibility is to travel the model homes, maybe depending on the volume coming out of the neighborhood. That could be a bi-weekly process, that could be a monthly process, and you could probably even extend that a little bit more, again, depending on the volume coming out of the builder. But that individual stops by the model home, communicates with the builder, communicates with the sales team, checks the system, whether it's home automation, audio, video, make sure it's working, number one, make sure there's no trouble conditions on the security system, actually test out the audio video system, the speakers and the video and everything like that. And then of course, once that's all confirmed, they then want to catch that new salesperson or that new builder at the model home and demonstrate that system, make sure they're comfortable using the security system, remind them that we're here to help protect them, right? Make sure they're arming and disarming the model home. So we've got a few people doing that, and we get real good response, and any issues that arises in the neighborhood is elevated to that account manager. Not every single call we want coming to one individual. They need to be on the pre-wire department, the trim department, the upgrades department, and things like that. But it is nice to know that they have a key individual that they can reach out to in the event that there is an issue or something needs to be escalated, whether it's a construction issue, a customer issue, or anything for that matter. So we've been real successful there. And again, I don't want to overthink it, but just on part of the onboarding process if possible. And we have that with several builders, and that's hugely successful. And then for the builders that it's just hard to corral everybody, we actually put the boots on the ground and go out to the individual models as often as possible.
Thank you, Randall. And as a couple other AiN members do, they also host sales rallies, meaning they'll invite the sales team for the builder into their office, and they'll kind of do a walkthrough of what they would normally show a home buyer as well. Other things that have been beneficial, there's a couple of dealers that have what we would call a builder wall. It just shows a list of the builders that they're working with, so it gives them that trust when they walk into their building that, hey, I'm working with someone that works with several builders. So the next builder education, which is kind of new, we're still, hitting the ground running on it, is the AiN Builder Initiative. One of the VPs covered that topic in February, Larry Wright. So that kind of just to reiterate that one, we'll be reaching out to all the AiN members, seeing what national builders you're working with, and seeing if it makes sense to do a national program. It's something where we just started. There's a couple other national programs out there that we're kind of combating to see, hey, does it make sense for us to make a national program for this specific builder? So if the VPs haven't reached out to you yet, but they'll make sure if you're working with one of the national builders that you'll be on that call to seeing if the AiN members want to do a national program for that. So the next thing is kind of digital marketing, digital brochures. How are we educating the builders via digital? And Michelle Wiseman has worked great with our AiN marketing team, and she has a couple of digital brochures that she's done. And Michelle, just kind of let us know, how are you using those whenever you're talking to the builder or talking to the homeowners?
Well, I've got the residential brochure. I'm still trying to finalize our commercial one. I need to find time to finish that one. But we use it for a couple different reasons. A lot of times where you can't meet with the customer, whether you have a home buyer that's, out of state and they're trying to build a house and you're trying to talk back and forth a little bit about what you do. The residential brochure is great because you can get with them and you can literally go through a little bit of the basic stuff of everything that you do. They can see the videos that kind of explain things. To me, them seeing a video on something is a lot better than me trying to just physically explain it. We do have some of the builders that we do come in and we do the same thing, educating their sales team. So if they'll have a monthly sales meeting or a weekly sales meeting, we'll come in every so often. I'll just take that and also show those to their salespeople so they have a better understanding of what it is. Or I may have a customer who's interested in this product and I'll be like, oh, well, I'm going to shoot you a little email. It'll explain what we just talked about. And then on page such and such, click on on my digital brochure and click on page such and watch a video. It'll show and explain it and that kind of stuff. So it helps it be a little bit more interactive and educating them without having to be so face-to-face all the time.
Thank you, Michelle. And then the last thing we have here is, in the new age of technology, Naveed Kamanish has done very well with his software. Naveed, how are you using your software to educate your builder from start to finish?
Yeah, so we're using a software called Maxwell right now, and we basically use it to manage our sales and our scheduling and our inventory and everything. So when we actually bring a builder in to work with us, we actually are able to work on a bid with them and show them other communities that we've done in the past. And we're able to just quickly pull up numbers of, similar homes that their competitors have built and how much money we've brought in per rooftop. So we're able to quickly and easily say like, hey, if we're able to finance X amount of dollars per rooftop, typically we've seen that we're able to pull X amount of dollars for your business and profit at the end of the day. So some of the things that we've seen that builders really care about is that they're working with someone that's knowledgeable and qualified, obviously, that we make them money with very little investment, and that we're not holding up construction for the home. So with our software, I'm actually able to dive into each one of those communities that we worked in the past and pull up work orders or pictures of job sites. So it's not uncommon for builders to actually call us for that reference material that we keep in our software. So we're able to show them like from start to finish, we're able to provide them with how much money we're making them and then how smoothly our projects are running. So that's just a really brief overview of the different capabilities that we're able to show just through our software. So we're not just saying we're the best company that's out there. We're actually able to put the data in front of them and put our money where our mouth is and just say, this is what your end result is going to be before they even sign anything with us.
Thank you, Naveed. And yeah, I've seen the software. Your dad actually showed us the software at one of our residential summits, and it was, top notch. And I think he even got a call when we were at the summit, and a builder was calling him about a plumbing issue. They forgot where, I think the sheetrock guys came in and covered the plumbing, and they were actually calling him because they knew he had the software and the pictures. And that's one of the benefits there. You're using the software to store all the pictures of the job where you put a Cat 5 insert. And they're able to call you, and instead of saying, hey, you guys are slowing the process down, you're actually speeding it up because now they know this is where we covered it. This is it's very detailed information that you guys keep and very detailed information that the software allows you to put in there. And I think it's a great software as well.
So,
thank you, Naveed.
So I
Go
guess
ahead,
On that software end with the pictures and everything, one of the beautiful things is I'm able to sell X amount of packages and just immediately tell someone like how many hours I need for a project to complete it. I'm not engineering or re-engineering every single project every single time I'm doing a sale, which I'm pretty sure a lot of businesses are running on a package model as well. But you know, yeah, we're with having the pictures of everything. If a customer goes, or sorry, if a builder actually goes ahead and drywalls a wall, for instance, and covers one of our outlets, just instantaneously without really asking too many questions, even though it's two different crews working on the project, we're able to cut out the hole and find the outlet without doing very much damage at all. So again, just keeping everything streamlined and speeding up our processes too.
Thanks, Naveed. Is there any questions or anything in the chat box, Diana?
Not at this time.
All right. I'll let you take over, Diana.
Okay. If you do have any questions, please feel free to email Pete, and he will be more than happy to answer anything that you have. And thank you so much for all the panelists that have joined on and giving your great experience and expertise on this. Okay. We're coming down to the final end. We're almost here to our giveaways. You don't want to miss our next one, May 5th, Wednesday, 1 p.m. We have 2 more sessions left. The next one will be on keynote speaker Chuck Davis on cybersecurity. And it's more than just commercial businesses now with residential homes that you're already in. You don't want to miss that segment. Best business practices will be on recruiting, hiring, training, and termination. And on June 2nd, we will be talking about healthy home and wellness in the new world we are living in and revenue diversification. Thank you so much, everybody, for your attendance. And now I will turn it over to John Begney, our Vice President of Marketing, and he has another special for you guys.
All right. Thank you, Diana. Before I explain today's special, those of you that were on here during the branding session, you know, it was interesting and we all got our wheels turning and wondering, you know, oh boy, this is exciting and who can I become and what can I be? You know, sometimes branding isn't as difficult as you would think. So I'll leave you with 2 words on that: surprise and amaze. And if the idea you come up with doesn't surprise and amaze them, go back to the drawing board. Because, you know, despite what I'm showing on the screen here, discounts and coupons, they don't work anymore. In today's buying environment, that's way down on the list. Okay, it's all about who you are and the service you provide, not the product you sell. We heard that. So branding is very simple, you see. If I take this hat off and I show up at a Live and Learn conference, what am I going to hear? Hey, where's your hat? That's how simple you can create a brand, right? So I'll just throw an idea out there and let you chew on it. But what if somebody wanted to run away with the best dressed integrator? Say, for example, all your integrators showed up at the house wearing a shirt and tie. Okay. And then you jump into this whole social world of things. And all of a sudden you've got these dressed up parties and you're inviting people to see who's the best dressed. I don't know, just crazy ideas. See how easy it is to come up with simple stuff. So today's coupon offer is 2 items that can start your customer on that digital journey of who you are. You know, our environment's a little different. We worked in the home. So I'm going to recommend that you look into these 2 items, a door hanger and a device tag, for a simple reason that a QR code will start you on that journey of who are you? And then you can start thinking about when they click that QR code, just like, what was it, Thermal Wood Canada, it starts with that video of who he is. So don't struggle too much on it, but really have fun with it. And with that said, either one of these items are on sale for 25% off. And with that said, I'll let you take it back, Diana, and let's have some fun winning prizes. You're on mute.
Thank you, John. So any orders or any questions on this new marketing item for you? Just give us a shout out at marcom@aingroup.com. And now the moment of truth for everybody's been waiting for, our partner giveaways. And we will be starting with Miss Amy Wesley. Amy?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to be here with you all and have a great speaker this afternoon. I just wanted to remind you before Diana spins the wheel for the room retract back all-in-one kit that we do have several central vacuum packages that can fit all of your customers' price point, any customer's price point. I can help you tailor those packages. I've worked with several of you already. This winter, regrouping with your central vacuum product lines and help you quote those packages.
Amy, sorry to cut you off. They wanted you to speak a little bit louder. It's a little bit hard to hear you.
Can't hear her.
Okay, sorry about that. So we can help you tailor your central vacuum packages to what your customers' needs and requirements are, and help you build those packages for your builders and your customers. Our entry-level system is our Vroom Retract Vac, which we're giving away today. That's that all-in-one kit that comes in 2 boxes, and that sells for a little under $1,000 to your buyer. And then we go all the way up to packages that are $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, depending on the products that are included in those packages. So again, we can help you lay those packages out and quote them, come up with some nice price points for you. They are going to meet your builders and your customers' needs. So Diana, we're ready to spin the wheel.
Okay, bear with me 1 second because I'm multitasking today.
Vanna White here.
Okay, so the winner of your Vroom, Barbara McCauley. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Barbara.
Okay, let me get back to my screen here. And now, without further ado, I have Scott Kreider from Annixter.
Good afternoon, folks. Thanks for joining us again today. These sessions are very beneficial. I enjoy being a part of them and glad to be there. Hey, just wanted to take a moment to point out a couple of things. One, don't forget that big AV push that we've got going on now. But on top of that, for those of you dealers that are in the commercial market, I'd speak to an offering that we have available for you now that's only available through Annixter. It's an access control product by the name of InnerRange, spelled just as it sounds, INNERRANGE. Check out their website, innerrange.com. Totally scalable access solution. Once again, that's only available through Annixter, and 50,000 systems installed in 25 countries. They have offices all over the world, been around for over 30 years. Scalable from an intrusion standpoint and access standpoint, including video integration as well. So innerrange.com, check that out. I've got a short amount of time. One of the things I've been doing whenever I do one of these sessions is a little trivia question. So here we go with today's trivia question. And being as how we're in early April and baseball just started, that's where this one's going to come from. Over the last 60 years in Major League Baseball, what team has the best record? What team has the best win percentage over the last 60 years on opening day in Major League Baseball? No to the Yanks. And Greg Saratari got it. It is the Mets. So Greg, I'll be getting in touch with you, and we'll figure out something cool to do. So we'll make sure I get your information. I'm sure Diana can help me with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so we'll sit you little gift certificate or something there. Good go on that. Folks, once again, we appreciate the business. First quarter is looking good. I hope it looks good for everyone on the call. Look forward to keeping on in 2021 and getting back to some sense of normality. Thanks for letting me be here.
Oh, thank you, Scott. And now for the giveaway from Annixter and the Ring doorbell. And the winner is Bob Boland.
Congratulations, Bob.
And we will get that information to you, Scott.
Thank you.
And now, Mr. Jason Lundell from Metra. Jason, can you hear us? You might be on mute.
He texted me that he called in. So if you want, let me get him on, and then we'll just go to the next partner right now.
Okay, then that will be Matt Schuler disguised as Trevor Gibson.
I'm filling in for Trevor today. He's on vacation. So thanks to AiN and all of our partners. Really appreciate. We really enjoy this partnership for. Well, if I've been here for 15 years, it's probably like 18 years now that we've been, in bed together, and it's really fruitful and super happy. Just as a quick reminder, if it makes noise and gets installed, I've got a solution for it. From $165 at retail on a speaker up to $1,689 on an in-ceiling speaker, everything in between, plus the subs, plus box products. I think in the residential CI space, I got over 125 SKUs, and commercial, for light commercial, I've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 plus SKUs for you guys. And I just really appreciate everything you guys do. And I'd like to remind you also that we do often like to pay you back for your support, and remind you that we have a Traeger grill promotion going on right now, where if you buy $5,000 on one PO or $10,000 on another PO, I give you a free Traeger grill that is actually going to be branded with clips on it, little custom grill. So use it as a sales contest for your team, or I don't know, do barbecues at your office, or keep it for yourself, whatever makes you happy. But we want to make sure you guys know that really supportive. Thank you for everything. This little Heritage Groove Bluetooth speaker is badass that we're giving away.
Thank you so much, Matt. And now, moment of truth for the Heritage Groove from Klipsch. Oh, it's rigged. It's Mr. Randall Duncan.
Wow.
Okay, we will get that information over to you, Matt.
No problem.
And
I got Randall's info. We can make this happen.
okay, awesome. And Pete, do we have Jason on? If not, we can just go to the drawing. Okay, nobody wants to answer, so I'm just going to go to the drawing if that's okay with everybody. And we will get the information over to them. And for the Metra Helios, it is going to be Danielle Bowman. We'll get that information over to everybody. And I want to thank
And Diane,
everybody.
I just have Jason on the line now.
I
You there,
just did the
Jason?
giveaway.
I am. Can y'all hear him? Diana, can you hear him?
I can
Yeah,
hear.
we already did the giveaway, so Jason, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jason.
Hmm.
Go ahead, Jason.
Hey, everybody, this is Jason with Metra AV. Thank you for joining today and allowing me to be on the call as well. I'm sorry I'm having a lot of technical difficulties here working from home. Go figure. So I have some exciting news to share with you with Metra as time has gone on and things have changed and we have grown as a company. We are as of May 1st, what we've currently changed, we're basically changing our name. We are now going to be Metra AV. As the markets have changed over the years and the different markets that we have products that we sell into, we decided it best to rebadge ourselves instead of being under a home theater group and moving that to Metra AV so we can encompass all different types of markets and categories that are available. Another great side of news that is coming your way is that we will be launching a new dealer portal coming May 1st. So be on the lookout for a new website that will be launched. It will be much more user friendly and dealer friendly. And so that is coming. And as you see today, we did give away one of our power pieces that are available. We also are going to be launching midsummer right in through the beginning of CEDIA, our IP power project. And what that is going to be is all IP addressable power, similar to what some of you may know as Wattbox. So there'll be cloud service, it'll be IP addressable, there'll be multiple different types of units and configurations. So please be on the lookout for those emails and information that will be coming your way. And we greatly appreciate AiN allowing us to be on this virtual webinar today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at Metra AV for all of your AV needs.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you, everybody. We look forward to seeing you on May 5th and have a wonderful month.